Society Matters.
Hello and welcome to HMTV's series Raised by Survivors. I'm your host, Bernie Furshpan. I have a very special guest here today with me, Rabbi Anchelle Perl, who's become a very dear friend of mine and also raised by his father and mother. But his father was a Holocaust survivor, and he's going to talk to us what it was like growing up in that household, other than all the great things that he does in his community. Welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. It's an honor to be here and an opportunity to speak about my father, Holocaust survivor, and how we grew up and how the impact he still has on me to this very day. Very briefly, he comes from a town called Schiff near Siget. He was in the same class with Elie Wiesel in those way back.
And, class where?
Back in the Cheder world.
I see.
In the way back. And then it must have been 1944. This is when they finally came to that town and took everybody, his parents, his brother and sisters, to Auschwitz. He went through the selections. Mengele, Yamach Shemai, did the selections. He was told to go one direction, but he saw his father, so he went back to his father. And Nazi guard came and said, Arbeit, you go to work. My father always spoke about that being his guardian angel, although he looked like a Nazi. Mm-hmm. And he spent a long time as a slave laborer in Nordhausen and Dora. He was involved in laying down the railroad tracks and the cement work and all this kind of stuff like that. Throughout that period of time, he tried to keep kosher as much as he could, quote unquote. They would give them horsetails to eat. But he had somebody who worked in the kitchen, a Jewish guy who took a liking to him and provided him with skins of potatoes, put them in a way that he could get. They eventually, when they both met again years later in New York City. In any case, after the war, after he was liberated, he came to Antwerp and then to Paris, and he met my mother in London and married. And eventually, we all moved to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Where were you born?
I was born in London, England.
Mm-hmm. And what age were you when you came to the United States?
I was already 20 years old.
Oh.
But I had previously been in Paris, in the yeshiva there, the Chabad yeshiva in Paris.
I did detect, all these years that I know you, I did detect a slight British accent, and I never said anything. And I said, "But okay." Yeah. And where did you grow up in New York?
In London, and then in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then Paris.
Right, in Paris, and then I received my rabbinical ordination in Chabad headquarters, the yeshiva in Brooklyn, Eastern Parkway. I would say in all the early years when I came to appreciate the Holocaust survivors because I grew up in London, surrounded by them. Not only my father, obviously, but the shul that we went to, the parents of the kids the schools I went to. And in those earlier years, it was very difficult to understand why there was certain, behavior and certain actions and reactions. It took me a long time to appreciate what was going on, what these parents, including my father, had gone through, nightmares and everything else that kept on reoccurring. But throughout my father's life, he never left us with feelings of hatred. He actually left us the opposite. He was very versatile and inclusive and involved in all people, Jewish and non-Jewish people, background. And he never spoke about hatred. He had every kosher reason to talk about what he went through and how people can be, but he didn't leave us with that. And the reason is, I would say, is because he spent all of his life trying to make up for what was taken from him, and that was the Yiddishkeit, Judaism. So rather than, I would say, beclouding his children with all those experiences, he didn't spend too much time. Only maybe towards the end did he tell us some of the stuff, but he left us with an extraordinary positive experience of living Judaism, not just being focused on the negativity. There was never a lack or shaking of his faith in the Almighty God. It all came about his work ethic and bringing up his children with a positive involvement in Yiddishkeit, in doing that. And I'm named after his father, who died in the Holocaust, was cremated, etc. So I know I have a responsibility to continue that which my parents and grandparents was taken from them. But again, the most important thing is he didn't leave us with any hatred. Mm-hmm. And I think that is left him the greatest legacy. You don't have to hate to get ahead in life.
Right.
If you're just a shining light, and the positivity of my parents and my father in particular, even though he went through such bad times, left us, makes the difference. So you can focus on the past and all the hatred, but most importantly is where it's going forward. That can be a Kickstarter, but there has to be that forward, living Judaism, be excited and passionate about it, and sharing positivity with the world.
Mostly my parents had a very positive attitude in life. They didn't lose faith in humanity. They were a little anxious about certain things. Obviously, second-generation kids of Holocaust survivors grew up a little different than other families. But my parents instilled in me very good values. And I think when you lose everything, like my dad did, you really appreciate every little thing, from your family to your clientele to your friends, and every little thing my dad appreciated. Right. And because he had nothing, he started from nothing. He lost it all. He lost his parents, his family, his friends, his life. He had to start from scratch. So he was grateful for every little morsel of food to, his family members. He loved us to death. And I tend to agree with what you're saying in terms of the way I was raised as well. They kept out that victimhood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They kept it out, and there was no whining and all of that. It's more about what can you do? What can you do with your life to make it good and to be conscious of the people around you, but also to be kind. And my father, even though he lost everybody in his family and everything, he was a very kind and gentle soul. He really was.
Well, I spend so much time focusing on the darkness, spend the time of bringing light, and it's so important because, sadly sometimes people spend a lot of time giving their children what they didn't have, but not to forget to give the children what they did have. And my father spent a lot of time on that.
You're the rabbi of Chabad Mineola, correct? Mineola Chabad temple?
Yes.
And how have you brought from what you learned from your parents to your community? What values do you teach them? And what do you focus on? I
focus on appreciating the spark of holiness that everybody has. Mm-hmm. Jewish people, non-Jewish people. The importance of appreciating each other and recognizing the good that every one of us can do. For example, every year we honor Long Island teenagers, called the Good Deed Awards for Long Island Teenagers, which high school students from all the schools, private, public, everywhere, are recognized for their good deeds, simply. It bothered me sometimes. Only the brainy kids were getting recognized, all these big Westinghouse, kind of things. And here was just purely for doing good deeds.
Just for having a good heart and doing something kind to other people.
And over the years, we've actually honored more than 1,500 students since 1994.
That's incredible. How many do you honor a year?
About, depends on the years. This year, we're looking forward to about close to 40 students.
Wow. And how do you select them?
They're recommended by public officials.
How do you announce this so that people can submit these recommendations?
We actually work a lot with the schools, mm-hmm. the counselors there, the school counselors, principals, word of mouth. We've gotten some from the Attorney General of the state of New York, Tom DiNapoli, who comes from Mineola originally, mm-hmm. and from many other places over the years. It's different people, different times. But what inspired me was my father. Look for the good. Look for the good. So much negativity out there, and if you shine the light on how good these students are the next generation, and only time you hear news about them is this, driving, all kinds of negativity. Here, give them an opportunity to be recognized by VIPs. People come, honor them, they get a little scholarship, but most importantly, knowing that we can work together. And I think that is being lost in the world of increased hatred that we see around it. Too many people are focusing. Most people are good. Most people are good people. It's the handful that make a lot of noise.
Right. But even though most people are good, and it's really 99% of people that are good, you know what they say, the squeaky wheel gets all the oil. So those that are doing bad and have these ideologies, radical ideas, they get all the attention. And so we think it's the public at large, but it's not. Most people are good, but most people remain silent. They don't act. You know, you have a person getting mugged on a subway platform. 10 people take out their phones and record it for their TikTok account. And so what we try to teach here at the center is to do something, you know, to stand up for justice, walk away with the victim, do whatever it is that you can to help the situation.
It's also important, Bernie, that people should know there is evil, and that has to be eradicated. Yes. And I particularly look at this in a way where those who are anti-Semitic, for example, are living really empty lives. And they're embarrassed to look in the mirror so they can see how empty. So rather than spending time bettering themselves or looking to learn from others what good to do, it's much easier to put other people down.
We worked together on a little project here. We worked together on other projects in previous lives, but we also worked on a project here together. You want to describe what happened?
I must tell you that the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center has most recently got together with the DA's office and together with justice and responsibility and education, and I'm all for it. And I can personally attest to how it's working because there was a particular incident, anti-Semitic incident, and the courts, rather than simply punishing the person with a record and even days in jail or other kinds of things, they chose to allow this person to spend time with me. It was mandated 7 hours of education and meetings with myself. And part of those 7 hours was I chose to bring the student and the person involved to this Holocaust memorial. And you were very kind that day to give your time to take the family around, the individuals around, to see what happens, the results of anti-Semitism, the hatred. And I can tell you that this was an eye-opener for the family, for the individuals involved. And we look forward to more of that. And I think through education, I would say that the majority of my hours with them was one thing, pure ignorance. All these anti-Semitic acts by certain individuals are, just following the crowd, have no idea. So they meet a rabbi. I took them to the synagogue. I showed them Jewish life. You showed them here at the Holocaust Center what Holocaust is all about in all the different ways. And hopefully we've made a difference. So I think the more education, the more knowledge, but not only looking at the negativity and the hatred, but also to be a good example of what it means to be a proud Jewish person and not to be afraid to stand up for Israel, to appreciate good things in this world. And I think with more light, you can overcome all the darkness.
Without question. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. It only makes the room brighter.
Exactly.
You've been appointed as a commissioner of human rights here in Nassau County. How did that come about?
I'm not sure. I'm still under the.
When did that happen?
It happened most recently in the last few days. I was invited.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think you were selected?
I'm not. I've been involved with the community. I've stood by the police. I serve on the ethics committees for the town of North Hempstead. I'm the DA's Faith Council, and a lot of other activities over the course of the years. And so somebody must have thought it was a good idea. And I look forward to being part of that. It's all part of giving everybody the equal opportunity, whether it's discrimination in education or in job settings, all kinds of things that the commission deals with. And I look forward, I'm joining a very distinguished group of commissioners as well. And together we hope to make a difference.
That's wonderful. Do you lose sleep at night about anything in particular? What bothers you?
I don't have enough time to do as much as I'd like to do. I love my synagogue. Our synagogue in Mineola is a beacon of light for many, many communities. It's a center where people who are unaffiliated can come at any time. You don't have to be a member per se. We have a very good relationship with the local hospital, NYU Langone, where I also serve as the resident rabbi. And so there's opportunities on Shabbos or holidays to host families so they don't feel alone. So there's many avenues that go beyond the walls of a synagogue. That's one of the great, you could say, strengths of Chabad, is it's not just about the synagogue or just about this program. It's about anything that helps bring positivity, hope to everyone, and learning to make the world a place where all of us... There was an anti-Semitic attack years ago in Warsaw, I think it was, and the Polish president wrote to the Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, and apologized for what happened. And he said, the Rebbe explained that Adam and Eve, the beginnings of mankind, we all came from one Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. There's no pecking order amongst human beings. Mm-hmm. We have our cultures, we have our religion, mm-hmm. but in terms of creation from God, we're all equal, all created equal.
Absolutely.
And those who are hateful and anti-Semitic have forgotten that idea, that we really all come from the same place.
Yes, I say that all the time. And if you look around, every person on this planet is somewhere between your 15th and 50th cousin.
Right.
And so we are really all related. And it's a wonderful story. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep doing the great work that you do. I look forward to continuing our wonderful relationship. And God bless you.
Thank you. And I look forward to lending my support and our support to the Holocaust Memorial Center, because they're doing great work, something I truly believe in. And because I come from such a background, I know the importance of not forgetting, at the same time moving it forward and making a difference with light and hope and sincerity.
Thank you, Rabbi Anchelle Perl. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you all for eavesdropping on this conversation. Until next time, make sure to share our podcasts. Until then, stay well.